Good morning students. In this video I am going to teach you the 8th chapter of the history. The name of the chapter is Making of Composite Culture. What is the meaning of composite? Composite means combined, mixed culture. Okay, making of mixed culture. Culture in medieval period marks the beginning of the new stage in the growth of India's composite culture. The composite culture was established in the medieval period when the Mughals were there in India. Medieval period was the time when the Mughals were there in India. When the Mughal Empire established in India, after that the composite culture was established in India and it was the beginning of the composite culture. It saw the introduction of new features in art and architecture and culture. And at the time, the new features were found in the Indian art and architecture and the culture. And the architecture and culture which was found in India at that time, that was the synthesis of the traditions of Central Asia, Persia and the pre-existing Indian styles. At that time, when the Mughal Empire established in India, and the art and architecture and culture which was found in India, that was a mixture of the ideas of a mixture of the traditions of the Central Asia and Persia and the traditions which were found in the in Indian culture. Okay, Central Asia, the Mughals, they were from the Central Asia and Persia. They had their own art and architecture, but they took some ideas from the Indian art and architecture. So the mixed art and architecture and culture was found in India after the establishment of the Mughal Empire. And in this period, the two religious movements were found. These were the Bhakti movement and the Sufi movement. Okay, the Bhakti movement was found in the Hinduism and the Sufi movement was found in the Muslims. Sufism and the Bhakti movements at background. The Sufism and the background of the Sufism and the Bhakti movement. In India, the Hindus and Muslims both were found in India and they had their own culture and heritage. Okay, when the Hindus and Muslims they started to live together in India, they established the new culture and new art and architecture. As I had already told you, when the Muslims they came to India, they started to live with the Indian people. At the time the Hindus were there in Indian society. When they both started to live together, they influenced by each other's cultures. Okay, the Hindus and Muslims they influenced by each other's cultures. They took the ideas from each other's culture. Like Islams, they believed, the people who follow the Islam, they believe in the unity and the oneness of the God and the brotherhood of the man. And Hindus, they believed in the spirit of tolerance and the liberal attitude of the Hindus. And these were the ideas of the Hindus, and they took their each other's idea. The Hindus they started to follow the unity and oneness of the God and brotherhood of the man, and the Muslims they adopted the ideas of Hindus like spirit of tolerance and the liberal attitude. Okay, because of this, the two movements were found in the Indian society: the Sufi movement and the Bhakti movement. The Sufi movement that was found in the Muslims, and the Bhakti movement was found in the Hindus. Next is Sufism. How the Sufism originated. Okay, the Sufism, what is the now I am going to define what is the meaning of the Sufism. Underline this line. Sufism was a liberal and humanitarian reform movement in the Islam. Okay, Sufism that was the liberal and humanitarian means for the human beings. That was the humanitarian reform movement in the Islam, and it was found in the Islam, in the Muslim society, and it started in the Persia. And who were the Sufis? The Sufis were the Muslim saints. Underline this. Who were the Sufis? The Sufis were the Muslim saints, and they believed in the equality and the brotherhood of man. Okay, and they stood for simple living, and the Sufis they led the simple life, and they wear the coarse means not a fine rough clothes. They wear the rough woolen clothes, and these clothes were known as the suf in the Arabic language. The clothes of the Sufis were known as the suf in the Arabic language, so that's why these people were known as the Sufis. And it is a word, this it is from this word that they came to be known as the Sufis. Because of the Suf word, they came to be known as the Sufis. And they favored religious toleration and were opposed the persecutions. Persecution means ill treatment. Okay, they were against any type of the ill treatment, and they tolerate all the religions, and they believed in the personal devotion to God, and who could be realized only through love and service to humanity. They thought that we can realize the love, we can take the love of the God only by loving the others, only by serving the other human beings. In all, Sufism was the humanitarian and liberal reform movement in the Islam. Many of their ideas were similar, and their ideas were similar to the Hindu religion. The ideas which were found, which were following by the yogis, seers and sages in Hinduism, so the ideas of the Sufism were same of the Hindu yogis, seers and saints. And Sufi saints, they drew their inspiration from the Quran and the Prophet Muhammad. Quran is the religious book of Muslims. Sufis, they took inspiration from the Quran and from the life of the Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad, he was the Muslim leader. Some scholars trace their inspiration, and some scholars of Sufism, they took inspiration from the Greek Sophists and the Vedanta and the Buddhist philosophies, and they took some ideas from Vedas and from the Buddhist philosophies. Now, doctrines of Sufism. These are the teachings of the Sufism. The people who believed in the Sufism, they follow these doctrines, these teachings. First is God is one. According to them, God is one and all powerful, and all men are his God, and all men are the children of the one God. To love mankind is to love God. According to them, if we love the human beings, then it means we are loving to the God. So everyone should try to love humanity. True love of God is more valuable than the rituals and fasts. They thought that rituals and the human beings try to truly love to the God, which is more valuable than the rituals which the people are performing, and then the fast is. Paths to God realization are many. According to them, if we want to realize the God, the different paths are there, like the different religions are there. These are the different paths, but their main purpose is same: to reach near the God. So paths are different, but the paths are different, but the God is one. So we should try to tolerate the other religions also, because the other religions also led to us towards the God. Respect for all human beings is essential. We should try to respect the all human beings, which is essential for us to realize the power of God. There is no need to convert anyone in religion. It is enough if a person becomes true to his own faith and religion. There is no need to force any person to convert his religion. Okay, we should try to be true toward our own faith and our own religion. Music is the only way of reaching God. The Sufis, they believed in the music, like Qawwalis. Okay, they believed in the music. They thought that if only through the music we can go the God, we can take the path of God. Meditation is also essential for God realization. They thought that through meditation also we can realize the power of the God. All men are equal, and distinctions based on the caste, color or creed must be discarded. All men are equal, and we should not try to discriminate any person on the basis of caste, color and creed. And universal brotherhood of the mankind is essence of all religion. And brotherhood, universal brotherhood of mankind is present in the all religions, because we all are brothers. Individual souls are manifestations of the Supreme Soul, and they finally merge into it. and according to them the soul of the all persons in the end will reach with the soul of the God, with the soul of the supreme God. Inner purity and self-discipline are essential condition for God realization. To realize the power of God, we should try to be pure and we should try to be self-disciplined. Next is the Bhakti cult, its religion. The second cult which was found in the Indian society, that was the Bhakti cult, and it was found in the Hindus. The Bhakti cult was a reform movement in the Hinduism, underline this, in which emphasis was laid on total devotion to God. According to them, we should try to devote ourselves totally towards the God. This means total surrender to personal God without regard of caste, creed and color, without the any discrimination on the basis of caste and creed. It emphasizes human brotherhood. This Bhakti cult originated, and the Bhakti cult was found in 9th century AD in the South India, and it started in the South India in the 9th century, underline this, and was spearheaded by Shankaracharya, and it was headed by the Shankaracharya, and it was spreaded by the these are the names of the Bhakti saints, okay, and they spread the ideas of the Bhakti movement in other parts of the country like Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya and Madhvacharya. Saints like Namdeva, Ramananda, Gyaneshwar, Ballavacharya, Kabir, Tulsidas, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Nath Panthi, Surdas, Chaitanya, Bhuman, these all were the Bhakti saints, and they spread the message of the Bhakti cult in the other parts of the country. Main ideas of the Bhakti cult, main principles of the Bhakti cult. First is, these are the teachings of the Bhakti movement. According to them, God is one and must be worshipped with love and devotion. God is one and we should try to worship the God with love and devotion, and everyone can attain the salvation. Salvation means freedom from the circle of life and death. If you want to get the freedom from the circle of life and death, then you should try to follow the bhakti and devotion to God. The dignity means respect of a honor or respect of a man depends on the actions done by man himself, not on the privileges of the birth. We can get a honor only on the basis of our works which we had done, not by the privileges of our birth. All men are, according to them, all men are equal in the eyes of God. And the religious rites, rituals, ceremonies and superstitions are futile. According to them, the rituals, the rites, the ceremonies and which we are following in the society, they all are futile, means not a useful. They hadn't any useful result. Man can reach God only through total surrender to God. We can get the God, we can get the power, we can get the blessings of the God only by surrendering to ourselves to the God. There is a need of a guru or a true teacher. According to them, in our life there is a need of a true teacher or a guru, because only the guru can lead a person to the God realization. Only with the help of the guru we can realize the power of the God. All religions lead to one and the same goal. All the religions are the different paths, but they all lead to us only to the one God. So the goal of all religion is same God realization. So one should respect all the religions. So we all should try to respect all the religion. We should be tolerant towards other religions also. Next is the main Bhakti saints. The following were the main Bhakti saints. First Bhakti saint was the Kabir. He was the greatest amongst the Bhakti saint and he was born in 1398 AD at Benares, and he was from the Brahman family, and his mother was died he was brought up, so he was brought up by a Muslim beaver, Nehru, and his wife Nima, because his mother was died, so that's why he was brought up by the Muslim beaver Nehru and his wife Nima. They were the childless, so they brought him. Nehru and Nima, they were childless, so they brought up the Kabir as their own son. As Kabir grew up, he adopted the profession. When the Kabir grew up, he adopted the same profession. He became the weaver himself. And Kabir had the spiritual bent of mind from the early childhood. He was the spiritual from his early childhood, and he adopted Swami Ramanand as his guru, and he had his first lesson in the spirituality from him, and he got the first lesson of spirituality from his guru. The name of his guru was Ramanand. He was very religious person from the starting, from his childhood, and he adopted the Swami Ramanand as his guru, and he got teachings from Ramanand. And in due course of time, Kabir left his guru and started preaching his own ideas. But with the time, he left his guru and he started to spread his own ideas, and Kabir's teachings are recorded in the Bijak. That is important. That is the book in which the teachings of the Kabir are recorded. The name of the book is Bijak. Underline this line. Kabir's teachings are recorded in the Bijak. Kabir was both a religious and a social reformer. Okay, he made reforms in the religion and in the society also. He wanted to transform almost the whole society. He wanted to bring the change in the whole society and bring about an era of equality and brotherhood. He spread his message of equality and brotherhood of man. He condemned almost all the evils which were found in the society of Hinduism and Islam. He was against all the evils which were found in the Indian society, in the Hinduism and in the Islam. Kabir was a gifted natural poet. He was the good poet, and his dohas and his writings are known as dohas or couplets, are full of ideas and vivid images, and these are popular even today with the Hindus. His dohas are even now famous among the Hindus. And he was against the caste system, idol worship, supremacy of the Brahmins and the ulemas. Ulemas, they were the religious leaders of the Muslims. Wasteless, and he was also against the wasteless ritual ceremonies and which were performing by the Muslims and the Hindus. And according to him, the Hindus and Muslims, both are same. Okay, and according to him, they are made of the same clay. Hindus and Muslims, they are made of same clay, and privileges to holy places like Mecca, etc., and holy baths at the Gangas, etc., alone cannot lead to the union of the soul. According to him, visit the Mecca and go at the Ganga for the holy bath. It is baseless. Okay, after doing this, we cannot meet with the soul of the God. He said Hindus and Muslims are pots made out of the same clay, and according to him, there is no distinction between the Ram and Rahim and between the Purans and Quran. Okay, these are the religious books of Hindus and this is the religious book of Muslim. According to him, there is no difference between the Purans and Quran. Kabir he was also against the idol worship and offering namaz. Muslims, they offer the namaz. He was against that also. Main teachings of the Kabir. These are the main teachings of the Kabir. According to him, all men are equal in the eyes of the God. He was against the caste system. He opposed the supremacy of the Brahmins. According to him, Brahmins are not superior than others. All are equal. He also against the idol worship, meaningless rituals and privileges to the holy places. And according to him, all religions are equal. There is no difference between Ram and Rahim and between the temple and mosque. Devotion to God is an effective means of salvation. According to him, by devoting our life to the God, we can get the freedom from the cycle of life and death. and one must have a pure heart. According to him, one must have a pure heart and free from the dishonesty and hypocrisy. हाँ जी, Kabir was a great, he was a great poet, saint, and his followers were known as the Kabir Panthis. This is important, underline this. The followers of the Kabir were known as the Kabir Panthis. Next is Saint Dhyaneshwar. Saint Dhaneshwar, he is considered to be one of the greatest. He was from the Maharashtra, and he born in 1275 into the Brahman family at the bank of the river Godavari, and he was blessed with the divine knowledge and showed signs of the greatness from the childhood. From the childhood, he shows the signs of greatness. At the tender, when he was of 15 years old, he write the commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, that was known as the Dhyaneshwari. He wrote the commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, that was known as the Dhyaneshwari. It is important, underline this, that is the writing of the Saint Dhyaneshwari, which occupies a high place in the origin and early development of the Marathi. And Dhyaneshwari, it helps to develop the Marathi literature. And Saint Dhyaneshwar, he was the Sanskrit scholar, and he preached and sang in the Marathi. And his writings, these are also his writings, Amrita Vava and the Vavavartha Deepika in Marathi. These were written in the Marathi. These are the books of the Saint Dhyaneshwar. His followers belong to all castes. The people from all the castes follow the Saint Dhyaneshwar. He was against the caste system, ritual ceremonies, and the sacrifices which were performed by the people, and his followers were known as the Varkaris. Okay, believe in attaining the presence of God through religious songs, and according to him, we can meet with God. We can realize the presence of the God only through the religious songs or the bhajans, and these religious songs were known as the bhajans or the prayers. The Saint Dhyaneshwar, he believed in the Lord Vithoba, and he worshipped the Lord Vithoba. He was the incarnation of the Lord Vishnu. Lord Vithoba, he was the incarnation of Lord Vishnu. So he was the follower of Lord Vishnu. And Saint Dhyaneshwar passed, he was died in 1296 at Alandi near Pune at the age of 21. So he was from the Maharashtra. He was a Marathi saint. Next is Guru Nanak Dev Ji. I think you all knows about Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Another great advocate of the pure, he was also the Bhakti saint. He was born in Khatri family at Talwandi, that is about 35 miles to the southwest of the Lahore, and he born in 1469 AD. He spent his whole life for preaching his gospel means message of the universe tolerance. He spread the message of universe tolerance, means we should try to tolerate all the human beings, and used upon all that was good in the Hinduism and Islam. As a matter of fact, his mission was to put an end to the conflict of religions. So like Kabir, he preached the unity of Godhead. He respected all the religions. He wanted to end the conflict. Conflict means battle which was found among the other religions, among the followers of the old religions. He wanted to end that battle, and like the Kabir, he also preached the message of the unity of Godhead, means God is one and God is supreme. He also condemned and discarded the formalization of Hinduism and Islam. Next is teachings of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. He believed in the oneness of the God, and according to him, God is truth, and he laid stress on the equality of all the man, and he was anxious to bring different castes together. So that's why he started the langar system. That its meaning was the common kitchen where all the people sit together to eat food. He also against the useless rituals and the supremacy of the priestly class like Pandits, Maulvis, okay, Brahmins. He did not believe in renouncing the word for achieving salvation. His followers are the followers of Guru Nanak Dev Ji were known as the Sikhs. He collected his teachings in the form of his teachings are collected in the Adi Granth, okay, that is the religious book of the Sikhs, which was later written in Gurumukhi. The holy book of the Sikhs is known as the Guru Granth Sahib. Next is Adi Shankaracharya. He was also the Bhakti saint, one of the greatest philosophers of India. Adi Shankaracharya founded, underline this, he founded the Advaita Vedanta, which is one of the sub-schools of Vedanta. Vedanta, that is based on the Vedas. Okay, so he was a follower of Vedas. Adi Shankaracharya wholehearted believed in the concept of Vedas, but at the same time advocated against the rituals and the religious practices that were over exaggerated. He was against the religious ceremonies, rituals, okay, which were spreading all over the country at that time. Born in simple Brahmin, he was born into the simple Brahmin family in the 8th century AD. He was named Shankara and is considered to be the incarnation of Lord Shiva. So he was the incarnation of the Lord Shiva, so he was a follower of the Lord Shiva. It is said that Shankaracharya's mother Aryamba had vision that when before his birth, his mother realized that his son, he would incarnate in the form of her firstborn child. He had the dream that God and the Lord himself told her that his first child will be the incarnation of the Lord. So right from childhood he showed a penchant, means a strong liking towards spiritual knowledge. He was interested in the spiritual knowledge. He took interest in the spiritual knowledge. He could easily recite the Purans. In the early age, he could easily recite the Puran and the other epics and Vedas. During his early years in the Gurukul, Adi Shankaracharya, he believed in the non-dualism. Okay, he believed in the fact that every individual has a divine existing. He believed that in every individual the God is there. So, we can identify with the supreme cosmic power. So, cosmic means universal powers, and we can realize the God in ourselves. The moment someone believes that the concept of the life is finite, they are discarding an entirely higher and different dimensions of life and knowledge. So according to him, self-realization is the key to attain moksha. According to him, by realizing ourselves, we can realize the God. And what was the impact of the Bhakti and the Sufi cult on the society? First is equality amongst all. And all the religions, all the saints, all the followers of the Sufism and the Bhakti religious movement, they believed in the equality. They believed in the equality of all people. They were against the caste system. They were against any discrimination on the basis of caste, creed and color. So they established the equality among all the people in the society, and it also reduced the influence of the Brahmins, and they were against the superiority of the Brahmins prestige, and they were against the any type of the rituals and the sacrifices. Guru Nanak Dev Ji, he established the Langar Pratha to establish the equality among the peoples who were living in the society. Harmony between the Hindus and Muslims. They also established the peace between the Hindus and Muslims. The teachings of Bhakti and Sufi, especially the teachings of the Kabir and Guru Nanak Dev Ji, brought the Hindus and Muslims closer in the each other. Okay, several Muslims became their followers. Many Muslims were there. They became the followers of the Kabir and Guru Nanak Dev Ji, means they become the follower of the Bhakti movement. Their message of the religious tolerance and respect for all religions paved the way to bring about a remarkable improvement in the Hindu-Muslim relations, because now they started to respect the other religions. So that's why it helped to improve the relations among the Hindus and Muslims. And And many Muslims rulers, they allowed religious freedom to their followers, to the subjects. And during the time of Alauddin Khilji and Firoz Shah Tughlaq, Hindus were honored. Hindu saints were honored, and Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq even appointed the Jain officers in his court. So they started to respect other religions also. Next is development of the language and the literature. During the time of the Muslims, the many languages were flourished in India, like Hindi, Bengali, Gujarati, because the Bhakti saints and the Sufi saints, they started to spread their message in these languages, and it helps to develop the literature in these language also, like Kabir, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Chaitanya, Mirabai, Surdas, and they written the books also, they written the poems also, like dohas, couplets, hymns, poetry was written by them, and these were written in these local languages. So they help to develop these languages, and they also help to develop the literature by writing in these languages, by writing books and poems and dohas in these languages. So the Bhakti movement and the Sufi movement also helped to develop the languages and the literature. They also promoted the growth of devotional singing, like kirtan, and musical instruments were also found, like rawav, sitar, and tambora. You can see here rawav, sitar. These instruments were also found, and because the Sufis, the Hindus, they believed in the music also. Okay, they thought that through the music we can go the God, we can realize the power of the God. So many instruments, musical instruments were also found at that time. I hope you understand this chapter.